Was the US secret operation to save a mystery F-15 colonel a daring rescue? Or a perfectly scripted story that leaves more questions than answers? Washington's dramatic success story on the F-15 crew rescue in Iran raised eyebrows, from the timeline to what really happened on the ground. How did US forces manage to seize and operate from an airstrip sitting near a key Iranian nuclear facility, deep inside hostile territory, in the middle of a war? Amid heavy Iranian fire and multiple US aircraft lost, how is Washington still insisting there were 0 American casualties from the entire mission? Speculation has grown around the US rescue mission for the F-15 airman stranded inside Iran, with key details of the operation still unclear. After Iran shot down the F-15 on April 3, the jet's weapons systems officer reportedly ejected, survived the fall, and was left seriously wounded on the ground. According to accounts, the officer then climbed a 7,000-foot ridge and hid in a mountain crevice to avoid capture by Iranian forces. US MQ-9 drones were used to strike suspected Iranian fighters operating within roughly a 3-kilometer radius of the downed airman's position. American forces also seized an abandoned agricultural airstrip deep inside Iran near Isfahan, and used it as a forward base for the rescue. The makeshift strip lay close to a major Iranian nuclear and scientific facility, which added to the sensitivity of the mission. Around 200 elite US troops were deployed for what officials described as a high-risk combat search and rescue operation. 2 MC-130 Special Operations aircraft landed on the rough strip but became immobilized in the sand, according to US officials. US forces say they then destroyed the stranded MC-130s to prevent the aircraft and their technology from being captured by Iran. Additional aircraft were flown in to extract the ground troops and complete the rescue of the injured officer. Videos circulating online showed intense activity, with claims of clashes and possible missile fire in the broader region during the operation. Iran released images it said showed debris from US aircraft and helicopters, claiming its forces had destroyed enemy flying objects during the mission. Separately, an A-10 attack aircraft also went down near the Strait of Hormuz the same day, and the pilot was recovered in a separate rescue effort. Despite reports of heavy combat and multiple aircraft losses or destruction, the United States has not officially reported any American fatalities from the operations. The rescued F-15 weapons officer has not been publicly identified, and no name or image has been released so far. Donald Trump has cited the mission as proof of US air and special operations superiority over Iran, calling it one of the most daring rescues in US history. His boasts came even though, before the incident, Trump had claimed that Iran had no anti-aircraft equipment and that its air defenses and radars had been effectively annihilated. Just hours after Iran said it had shot down US jets in its airspace, another senior official escalated the narrative, making a stunning claim that cast the entire American rescue story in a far more sinister light. Iran's head of energy management strongly hinted that the US rescue operation might actually be a cover-up, implying that Washington was trying to hide its true intentions under the cloak of saving a wounded airman. Ismail Sagab Esfahani, the official in charge, was quoted by RT News directly questioning the F-15 rescue mission, asking whether the narrative made any sense given the scale and location of the US deployment. RT, citing Esfahani, highlighted his incredulity. 2 C-130 transport planes and multiple helicopters amounted to overwhelming force for a single-man mission, raising doubts about what Washington was really after. Esfahani went further, noting that US aircraft just happened to land miles from Isfahan's nuclear-linked facilities, a detail he said was too convenient to ignore given the talk of seizing Iranian uranium. Summing up his suspicions, Esfahani said that perhaps this operation was never a rescue at all, suggesting the entire mission might have been designed around a nuclear objective from the very beginning, according to RT News. Beyond Esfahani's remarks, open-source analysts and war trackers also began to speculate about the exact location of the operation, noting how it lined up uncomfortably close to strategic Iranian nuclear corridors. One prominent geolocator went as far as publishing precise coordinates for the US crash site, feeding a wider debate over whether the mission's geography matched a rescue story or a nuclear grab. At the same time, reports say the US Army had briefed Trump on a separate, highly risky plan to send ground troops into Iran specifically to seize portions of Tehran's enriched uranium stockpile weighing approximately 1,000 kilograms. According to that reporting, the concept involved flying in excavation machinery, digging out stored material and even constructing a makeshift runway for heavy cargo aircraft to haul the uranium back out. The Washington Post described the proposal as a complex plan with major operational risks, noting that Trump was briefed in detail on how dangerous such a deep incursion into Iran would be for US forces. Those details began to echo uncomfortably with what we later saw during the F-15E pilot rescue operation, leading some observers to question whether elements of the uranium plan were quietly tested in the field. Multiple outlets described how roughly 100 US troops flew into Iran aboard C-130S and briefly captured an abandoned airstrip near Isfahan, exactly the kind of foothold such a ground uranium mission would require. Officially, Washington insists the operation was solely about rescuing the downed weapons systems officer, dismissing any suggestion of a nuclear angle as speculation and defending the scale as necessary for safety. Yet in the days before the rescue, Trump shed light on possible ground operations inside Iran, a timing that now makes the Isfahan mission look less like a one-off emergency and more like a live rehearsal for something bigger.
Are you considering still putting boots on the ground, and would you do that without going to Congress?
I just have lots of alternatives. We have tremendous numbers of ships over there. We don't need them though because of the power. Look, I would say we're just like we're ahead of schedule on the ballroom. In a much bigger way, we're ahead of schedule with Iran. We're weeks ahead of schedule. If you would have said that in 3 days we were going to knock out 158 ships, their entire Navy, which we did, we knocked out their entire Air Force. We knocked out most of their missiles. That's why you see missile attacks when they're down to they're sputtering. And we have a group, it's really a new regime. It's a group of people that we've never dealt with before, that are acting very reasonable. It is truly regime change.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.